I'm here in Memphis, Tennessee, and Lou DiBella, the president of DiBella Entertainment's presidential jump-off here at Memphis, right across the street from the FedEx Forum. Got a huge fight coming up on Saturday night. Taylor-Spinks, give us some thoughts on the event.
The event's doing great. This is like a holiday weekend in Memphis. They party the whole month of May. It's like a Memphis celebration. And this weekend is the National Barbecue Championships, which gets started tonight. There's like 100,000 people coming in for that. Beale Street's hopping. That's right around the corner. FedEx Forum's across the street. You can't see it right now, but you just saw Greg, the big Taylor-Spinks sign in front. We're pushing toward $1 million gate. You know, we're going to exceed $1 million gate. Everything's going well, and the good news also is that there are plenty of the more inexpensive tickets still available, so the walk-up should be huge with all the people that are going to be in town. And the weather's unbelievable. You know, Spinks and Jermain, I don't know why there's so many haters, because once again, Jermain's fighting an excellent fighter. And, you know, Eddie Futch used to always say to me, he never cared about, once you have 16 weight classes, stop worrying about one weight class away. A guy can fight or he can't fight. Cory Spinks can fight. He's not a puncher. He's not ever going to knock people out for a living. That's not what he does. His game's not Jermain's game. It's not a strength game. But this is a dangerous guy because he can box with anybody. He can box your ears off. He can make you look bad. He can win rounds. And he's a champion for a reason. I mean, the guy's been disrespected in this promotion. But, like, you know, I don't think this is such an easy fight. I think this is yet another guy that Jermain's fought in a string of guys that are real fighters. Guys that could fight, as Eddie Futch would say. And, you know, God willing, we're looking for something bigger in September against a guy that's physically bigger also. But I'm not looking past the 19th. Spinks is a dangerous fight. The main event is a real fight. Two champions, Jermain Taylor, Cory Spinks, is big geographic hook because St. Louis is drivable, Little Rock's drivable. That's why there's going to be, you know, well over 11,000, 12,000 people in the stands.
That's why it's the border battle. Do you think that Spinks should be a 5.5 underdog? You know, I mean, he's plus 550 right now at Bodog.com.
I think plus 550 is a little long, but Jermain should be the favorite. You know, Jermain is bigger and stronger, and Jermain's proven he can deal with a slick guy, even if you thought those Hopkins and Wright fights were close. Jermain's proven he can hang with the best of the best at being slick, and those guys are about to fight at 75. You figure that Cory, you know, has a disadvantage in terms of his size and lack of punching power. But Mayweather had a disadvantage in terms of his size and lack of punching power against De La Hoya, and Mayweather's going to have a difference in that with a lot of people, and it's not going to mean that Mayweather's not going to be the favorite. So I think 550 is a little long. I think Jermain should be the favorite. I think Jermain's going to look good, but I think Jermain's going to look good because he's well prepared for a good fighter, not because this is like any kind of an easy one. This is not an easy one. The opening fight, Pavlik-Miranda, I think they're both very unproven, but they're exciting, particularly Miranda with the crazy one-punch knockout power. But Pat Kelly's was a great amateur. He's been a good pro. You know, it's a true battle for number one. I don't know who's going to win. I think we're going to learn a lot more about Pavlik and Miranda in the opening fight. And then for the people that are lucky enough to come here and not only be able to see it on HBO, the people that come here are going to get an undercard that features Andre Berto, Ronald Hearns, Chaz Witherspoon, Jose Navarro. I mean, that's like a tremendous amount of talent where you're going to get an opportunity to see guys you're going to see again on HBO and Showtime and pay-per-view. You know, and I think Berto is the next I think Berto's the next superstar.
I spoke with Berto yesterday, as a matter of fact, and he told me that he expects to be fighting for a title before the end of the year. Are you on that same page with him?
That's our game plan right now. And we've discussed it with HBO. Our game plan is that we're going to fight on ESPN. You know, it's not been formally announced, but we're talking to ESPN about a special, like ESPN Friday Night Fights, July 27th, and Berto will fight on ESPN against, you know, possibly like a Carlos Quintana or a Cosme Rivera.
The top 10 kind of contender kind
like
of
a top, you know, 15 kind of contender guy. And then if Cintron was available in the fall, we'd either, you know, potentially go directly toward a title fight or to a guy like a David Estrada on Boxing After Dark. You know, Estrada and Cintron had a fight of the year. Estrada's went the distance and won some rounds with Shane Mosley. I think Estrada would be a big step up for Berto and a real challenge. And I've, you know, worked with David. David's a tough, you know, bastard who's going to go to try to take Berto's head off. That'd be a war. But that's the kind of guy we're looking for potentially on HBO in the fall. But he's got to fight this Saturday night on the undercard off TV, more designed just to get him some rounds. Martinez Clay's a tough guy, doesn't have a great record, but he's a guy that should take him into some rounds, make him fight, a guy that's going to try to win, and then to get him on this ESPN special edition July 27th, and then back to HBO in the fall for a title fight or a fight with an Estrada type of guy.
There's going to be a big public demand for Jermain, if he's victorious on Saturday night, to face the winner of the opening bout. I mean,
we're up for that possibility. I want to see how the opening bout goes. Honestly, like Green and Miranda, if Miranda didn't knock him out late, people would have thought probably that the guy coming out of that fight wasn't going to be such a big fight. I don't think there's any way Miranda Pavlik's not a great fight, but if it's not a great fight, well, then maybe that's not the next fight.
In either case, can boxing fans be assured that if Jermain doesn't fight the winner of that fight next, that he'll be in a fight that the boxing world universally recognizes as a bigger fight?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jermain's going to have a game plan coming out of this fight. And we already have some ideas about what that game plan could be. We're open to fighting Calzaghe, even if it has to be in England in September, but we don't think it should be on pay-per-view. I mean, if it's going to be in England, pay-per-view doesn't work from a foreign country very well. But more importantly, that's a fight that belongs, I think, on HBO, as a huge HBO fight. So I'm talking to Ross Greenberg, depending how Jermain looks this weekend and everything, that I'd like to see that fight. I think that'd be a huge fight. But, it's a matter of whether the economics can be worked out. I have to work out a deal with Frank Warren, and I love Frank, and he's the greatest guy in the business to have dinner with and go to a bar with. He's an incredible host if you're ever in Great Britain. But, like, Frank ain't the easiest guy to make a deal with. I got to make a deal with Frank, and we got to make a deal with HBO. I agree with one of a piece that Tim Smith wrote the other day. Not picking on any particular fight, but just more in general. I've been saying this for a long time on Boxing Talk and elsewhere. Mayweather De La Hoya was a great pay-per-view event, 2 million plus homes. Yeah, that could go on pay-per-view, but we got to give people a lot of our best product where they don't have to dip into their pocket and pay $60 or $70. And Jermain against Winky Wright was one of the most successful events that HBO's had in boxing in the last decade. And, Ross and those guys, they paid up and they made it happen, but they got what they paid for. That was both fighters put up in the ring. It was a sensational close fight. HBO did its highest boxing rating in years. I'd like to see a Calzaghe fight Jermain
on regular HBO.
On HBO. I would love to see Miranda Pavlik, winner, and Jermain on HBO. And
how about Jermain and Roy Jones on HBO? Roy Jones, you were recently speaking for him.
Look, I still got, Roy's got to get into the ring. That's the problem. I got nothing but love for Roy, despite a lot of the business difficulties we've both gone through recently. I respect Roy. I hope but Roy got to get back in the ring. And I think the problem with Roy and Jermain next is right now, with Roy hasn't fought since Badi Ajamu. That'd be a hard fight to sell right now. And even from an HBO perspective, I think the networks are doubtful that Roy's really serious about fighting. So, but Roy's always a possibility on the horizon. Roy's there. I mean, when you look at who's out there for Jermain, and then there is some people will say that, hey, this guy may not deserve a shot on his ability, but if John Duddy keeps selling out arenas, someone's going to fight John Duddy and make a lot of money doing it, and it ain't going to be someone other than the middleweight champion. In other words, John Duddy is selling out arenas. People can say what they want to say. I happen to think he's an exciting fighter. He's got limitations. He's going to throw down. But Duddy is the biggest ticket seller on the East Coast of the United States. And that kind of guy is going to earn his way. And some may argue about his ability, but I still think he's got ability. May not have number one ability, but he's got ability to make money. He's got ability to sell tickets. So you got to look at Duddy.
Happy birthday to Lou DiBella. He's 25 today. Everybody watching this interview got to shoot him an email, say happy birthday, Lou. The email is lou@dbe1.com. Get at him. Give us some closing thoughts for the Boxing Talk fans.
Now, tune on to HBO if you're not in Memphis or Missouri or Arkansas, somewhere you could drive. If you're somewhere you could drive, come down here. because the tickets are really well priced. You can get $45 tickets if you're a student or you're an old person or you're military. You can get a $25 ticket. Come here. We're going to have a huge crowd. It's barbecue fest. People are going to be partying. It's my birthday. I'm going to have a good time.
And I'm coming with them.
And let's take some of the momentum that the whole boxing world feels from that De La Hoya and Mayweather, and let's start making more money together. Let's start making better fights. Let's put fights on where people can see them. Let's try to take a little bit of pay-per-view and put it on HBO and Showtime. Let's take some of those fights that could have gone on HBO, Showtime, and ESPN. Look at doing some bigger fights, and let's try to take some of this momentum and bring it to a positive place. Saturday night's a great show. Hopefully it'll do that. Boxing Talk.